Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this lead generation guide, you're going to learn how to build a lead magnet funnel from scratch. Timestamps below, along with some other helpful videos, including a super deep dive video that dives into a free software you can use to build everything we're going to be talking about here. Now, as we dive in, let's go ahead and kick things off with what the heck a lead magnet funnel actually is. So taking a look at this diagram, we're going to be putting together a lead magnet, a squeeze page, and then sending a couple of emails, and that's as complex as this process needs to be. Now, of course, the lead magnet is what's actually going to drive this whole process forward and actually make sure that your funnel is high converting. Now, to go through what exactly a lead magnet is and how this relates to our sales process, let's go ahead and use the example of Costco, right? So we've all been to Costco pre-pandemic, and they used to have little booths all over the place, tables where they were giving away free food. Now, of course, it made sense. They wanted you to try the food. Hopefully you would like it, and then you'd go ahead and buy a 6-month supply of it because everything is in bulk at Costco. So imagine for a second, you've been walking through Costco for at least an hour, because it seems to take at least that amount of time to get through that giant warehouse. And at the end of it, you're walking past one of those sample tables, but instead of giving you free food and saying, hey, you should try this and I think you should buy it, they just go straight to, hey, buy this, buy this, buy this, even though you've never actually tried the food, product, or whatever they seem to be offering at that time. I mean, even the giant grills they offered, they always did sales demos, right? There was some sort of free sample or some sort of demo so that you would be able to know exactly what you were actually purchasing. And that's what we're doing with our lead magnet. So hopefully that made sense. A little bit of a silly example here, but we need to give our prospects a taste of what it's like to take our advice and actually engage with our products and services. Now, with your lead magnet, you're not going to be giving things, your product or service, away for free, right? But you do need to provide something of value and move the needle in your ideal customer's life a little bit so that you demonstrate that you can actually help them with their problems. And if they listen to you, they'll actually be able to achieve the results that they want. So that's what we need to do with our lead magnet. So creating another ebook or another top 10 listicle style guide is not going to cut it. We need to give value, and we need our ideal customers to have an actual taste of what it's like doing business with us. And we have to be the first ones to give something for free. Now, of course, we're not giving it 100% away for free. We're going to get our name and email, unlike what Costco does, but that's as far as the Costco example goes. So let's go ahead and dive into what specifically can you do with your lead magnet. Now, balancing providing value and getting this done as quickly as possible, I highly recommend using one of these 4 types of PDF lead magnets. The first one is an audit, and this is essentially a checklist to reveal everything that they're doing wrong or things that they're doing wrong that they didn't even know that they're doing wrong. Our point here is to create an aha moment. I'll go through an example in a moment. Number 2 we have on our list here is going to be a template. So an easy to follow framework or fill in the blank worksheet to help someone achieve something that they're working on. And of course, the last 2 are going to be a resource guide and a report. Now, the resource guide is going to be the lowest on this list if you can't come up with something for the other 3. And then the report, a great example of this is every time you start researching stocks or what you should be buying or selling for investments, every other investment website seems to have their top 5 or their top 10 stocks or investments to buy. And that's simply, they've done a bunch of the research for us, and they're just saying, hey, if you give your name and email, we'll give you all of this financial information and data that you don't have to go find yourself. Now, for an audit, an example we have here is from our own company, Act Marketing, and here we provided a checklist for people who were just getting started with Google Analytics. It helped people go through Google Analytics and see some of the features they might have been missing, and most importantly, some of the switches that they had to turn on. Our main goal here was to give them at least 1 or 2 aha moments when they're going through analytics to say, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could do that, or oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I didn't turn this on and I'm not getting any of this data because I didn't click this one button. And so that was the entire goal of the audit. And when we're able to do that for our ideal customer or client, then all of a sudden they're much more likely to listen to us, as opposed to them going through the entire thing and going, well, I knew all of this, and then they're much less likely to actually do business with us in the future. So that's why we made sure to provide actual value and insights inside of that audit. The last example we have here before we move on to the squeeze page, which is going to be step number 2, is going to be a template. And this is a simple sales funnel template that we created for people that follows our process for creating sales funnels and helps our ideal customers and prospects go through their own process of creating their sales funnel and staying organized. So it doesn't always have to be something that's super complicated or revolutionary. Sometimes it's just enough to provide a worksheet or workflow of how you approach a specific problem or task, and that's going to be valuable in and of itself to your ideal customer or prospect. So hopefully you have some ideas. If you don't, I'll link up in the cards and the description to a video that goes through 7 other ideas for putting together and creating lead magnets, including if you want to do anything like Excel sheets, Excel tools, or get really fancy with sales videos and webinars. So step number 2 in our lead magnet funnel process is going to be our squeeze page. So this is a simple page on our websites that has no other links, and it will simply have a picture of our offer. It's going to have a headline and then a place for them to enter their contact information, and that's it. That's all we need on this page. Now, in case you're skeptical as to whether or not these pages work, here's a screenshot of some of the conversion rates we're getting inside of our MailerLite account, which I'll get to more on later, but just to show you that these simple pages can in fact and do in fact convert. You don't have to be super complicated. So let's go ahead and go through each one of these elements. So our first example here is from Eric Sue at singlegrain.com. You can see he has a very powerful headline. I'll go through some headline formulas in a moment, including the one he's using right here. He has a clear call to action. Instead of a graphic of the webinar, which is this lead magnet he's using here, he simply has a picture of himself. So it's okay if you want to brand yourself as an influencer expert to just have a picture of yourself instead of a picture of whatever you are offering, especially if you're using this headline formula, which again, I'll get to in a moment. Now, let's go ahead and quickly talk about what you need to ask for on this page. Because as you can see here, there are a lot of different things you could ask for, but at the end of the day, the name and the email is really all you need to do in order to make this entire funnel process work, because you can always ask more questions and gather more information later on in your sales process. Remember here, we're giving a free sample, so we're not going to be asking for a ton of information in exchange for that tiny taste of what we have to offer. So this next example is from consulting.com by Sam Ovens, and here you can see he has a very simple graphic, a clear headline of what is being offered, and he's just asking for the email. So now let's go ahead and jump into some headline formulas for your squeeze page, because these headline formulas is going to be arguably the hardest part of this process, is coming up with how do you communicate to your ideal customer prospect that you have what they want and that how that you can actually be helpful. So we'll start with another example here from Neil Patel, how to generate 195,000 visitors a month without spending $1 on ads. So going into our diagram here, we can see that this formula is how to get a result that they're looking for without, even if, or so you can. And so the first two, without or even if, we're removing a hard part or talking about a roadblock, something that they think they have to overcome in order to get the result that they want. So we're clearly saying, hey, you can have what you want without having to do this other thing that you think you have to do in order to get what you want. So let's go through some examples, and then I'll quickly talk about the third formula here. The first example we have here is how to grow your channel without getting lots of views. It's incredibly simple, and I know that these headlines look so rudimentary, but they work, because when you're speaking directly to your ideal customer on what they want and speaking to the problems that they're already having, you're going to be able to connect with them, and as long as your lead magnet delivers on that, you have the makings of a high converting funnel. So let's go through one more example here. Number 3, we have how to outsource time-consuming admin work so you can grow your channel part-time. So here we're saying so you can, so we're talking about what they're going to be able to do, the result and benefit of learning what your lead magnet has to provide. So for our second headline formula, we'll go back to our Eric Sue example from singlegrain.com, and this time I'm going to highlight that allowed me to build a multi-million-dollar agency with clients like Lyft and Amazon. And the key phrase here is that allowed me to. So it could be that allowed us to, me to, or if you haven't achieved those results or you haven't achieved those results for your particular clients because maybe you're brand new, then you can go ahead and identify your ideal customers group or social group. So in this particular instance, taking a look at these examples, if we go down to number 3 here, here, we could see the blueprint that has allowed thousands of small creators to go full time. So here, instead of talking about ourselves or our clients, we're just pointing to a group of people that in this case would represent our ideal customer, and saying, hey, a bunch of other small creators have used this exact blueprint to do what you want to achieve. And if you want to get really fancy, a final example is one of our actual landing pages where we add some bullet points and do a little more than just have a headline. I'll link up in the cards in the description to a full-blown video that walks you through exactly how to build these pages using a free tool called MailerLite. But in this particular example, we have the content funnel that allowed me to, so we're about to talk about the result that our ideal customer would want that we've already achieved, generate 4,447 leads in 90 days. And then we're using the without to remove the hard part or the pain point that most people think they have to go through in order to get that result, spending money on ads. So that's all there is to it, to putting together a high converting squeeze page. If this sounds simple, good, because it is. If it doesn't, make sure you use those timestamps below to go through those formulas. Again, I'll link up in the cards in the description to a much deeper dive video that goes through every single element of putting together your squeeze page, as well as a playlist that has a bunch more copywriting formulas to really help you generate some ideas, because that is very important to the success of your squeeze page. Not so much the software or even the design of the page. As you can tell, all the designs we went through are very, very basic. They don't distract from what's most important, the copy. But I'll get off that soapbox. Let's go ahead, dive into step number 3, the last part of your lead magnet funnel. And that, of course, is going to be your sales sequence. So you've given them the free offer, they've taken the sample that you have, and hopefully they've enjoyed it. Hopefully they found value in it. And so now it's time to follow up with them, now that you've already proven that you can be valuable and helpful with your paid product or service. And the easiest way to do this is to send out a 4 to 5 email sequence that builds rapport with them. So we're not going into hard sales. It keeps a conversational tone, just like you're talking to someone over coffee, right? And sharing stories from yourself or about your ideal customers, or pointing to other examples showing how other people in their situation have achieved the results that they're looking for, and how your product or service can get them those big results. Now, obviously, the results you're talking about should be slightly different than the results that were delivered in the lead magnet. So if you've solved problem A, don't keep talking about problem A. Talk about the next step, or just talk about solving similar problems. So here is a simple template that you can follow for your email sequence. Again, I'll link up in the cards in the description to a much deeper dive video that goes through each one of these emails step by step. So your first email, of course, is going to be delivering your lead magnet. You're going to reiterate whatever you said on your squeeze page. There's nothing fancy to this email. You're essentially repeating whatever you said on your squeeze page and saying, here's the free stuff that you asked for. That should be the very first thing you deliver. Don't talk about any products or services in this email. Give them the free sample. One day later, you're going to start talking about the biggest challenge they face, so you can talk about how hard it can be to achieve the results that they're looking for. If there's any myths in your niche or industry, this is a great way where you can position yourself as a contrarian. So if all your competitors are saying, hey, you should do it this way, and if you have a different way to do it, and better yet, if you can point to this other way and say, you know, these are the reasons you shouldn't be following this kind of sage or old advice, then that's a great way to position yourself as someone who is bringing some fresh ideas to the table. Now, with the next one, you're going to have a hero's story of success. So this can be either your own story of success of how you were where they used to be, and now you've achieved the results, and the product you have is going to be helpful in achieving those same results, or you can point to a client, or you can write the email about someone who's at the top of your industry and essentially create a case study detailing how they were able to get the great results that seemingly your ideal customer wants as well. And so essentially here, instead of saying, I've done it or I've done it for clients, you can point to someone else and then just be very detailed with how they were able to achieve that and how you've been able to reverse engineer what they did. So that's it. That is an ethical way to sell. If you haven't done it yourself and you don't have any clients, the only unethical thing you can do with this one is make a story up. Please do not make anything up with this story. It needs to be real, even if you're pointing to someone else and you're deconstructing the success that they have had. Now, these next two emails are just going to be focused on your product or service and focus on the benefits. So you don't want to list out, hey, my product does this, this, and that, right? People don't really care about what your product does. They care about what their life is going to look like after they've consumed your product or service. So talk about that. Talk about how things are better, talk about how things are easier, or talk about how they're going to be able to achieve the results faster because of consuming your product or service. And of course, the 4 to 5 emails that you decide to write should all link over to your sales page, and you can use a free software like MailerLite or ConvertKit to do everything we've talked about in this tutorial. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video, and most importantly, you have a much clearer picture on how to create your lead magnet and create a lead magnet funnel in order to drive people to your product or service. If you want to learn more about how to use MailerLite to set all of this up, including some advanced automations, go ahead and check out that link in the cards in the description to a full-blown video on how to click by click set all of this up from a technical aspect. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe for more videos just like this one, and until the next, keep building the business you love.